My sister humiliated me about my miscarriage at the baby shower I paid for. But when she begged to meet my baby after banning me from hers, I blocked her forever, and they never saw coming what they lost. I'm 34 years old. I work as a marketing manager at a mid-sized company. And if someone had told me 2 years ago that I'd end up cutting off all contact with my younger sister and my mother, I probably would have laughed in your face. But here I am, blocked on all social media, numbers deleted. And you know what? I've never felt more at peace. I guess I should start from the beginning so you understand how we got to this point, because the story is long and complicated. But basically it boils down to this. I organized the perfect baby shower for my sister Ashley, and she and her best friend publicly humiliated me about my fertility issues in front of like 30 people. And when I say humiliated, I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. Let me rewind a bit. My husband Daniel and I had been trying to have a baby for like 2 years when all this happened. 2 years doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when month after month you see that pregnancy test come back negative, when everyone around you seems to get pregnant just by thinking about it, those 2 years feel like an eternity. And the worst part was that I did get pregnant once, like a year and a half before all this, but I lost it at 8 weeks. It was devastating, completely devastating. And it's not something I talked about much with people because, honestly, what do you say? Hi, I lost my baby, and now every time I see a pregnant woman, I want to cry. How was your weekend? It's awkward for everyone. So basically, only Daniel, my best friend, and my mom, Patricia, knew the complete details of what we were going through. Ashley, my sister, is 4 years younger than me. She's 30 now. And we've always had a kind of complicated relationship, you know, the type where we're family and we love each other, but we're not exactly best friends. She was always the baby of the family, the spoiled one. And my parents, especially my mom, always let her basically do whatever she wanted without real consequences. When Ashley announced she was pregnant, I was happy for her. Of course I was. But it was also like a punch in the stomach because I'd been trying all that time and nothing. And she wasn't even actively trying. It just happened. But I swallowed my feelings because I wasn't going to be that bitter person who can't celebrate other people's happiness just because I was struggling. You know what I mean? So like 3 months after Ashley announced her pregnancy, around March of last year, I think, or maybe it was February, the months blur together a bit, something incredible happened. I woke up feeling weird, nauseous but not sick, and something in my head told me, take a test. I had like 5 tests stored in the bathroom because, well, when you've been trying for so long, you buy those things in bulk to save money. I took the test expecting nothing, literally thinking it was one more to add to the collection of disappointments, and the 2 lines appeared immediately. Like, I didn't even have to wait the full 3 minutes. There they were, clear as day. I stood there in the bathroom for I don't know how long, just staring at that test, with my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Daniel was still asleep because it was like 6 in the morning on a Saturday, and I didn't know whether to wake him up or what to do. I was basically in total shock. Eventually, I woke him up, showed him the test, and we both cried there in bed for like an hour. But there was fear too, you know? Because after losing one, you have that constant terror that it'll happen again. We went to the doctor like 2 days later. They confirmed the pregnancy, and everything looked good, but I was terrified to tell anyone, especially after what happened last time when I'd announced at 7 weeks and then had to unannounce a week later, which was horrible. Daniel and I decided we wouldn't tell anyone until after the first trimester, and that meant keeping the secret during Ashley's baby shower, which, oh, by the way, I had offered to organize because my mom kept insisting it would be nice if I did it, and Ashley basically expected me to pay for everything, or at least most of it, because she and her boyfriend, now husband, I think, were saving for a house or something. In hindsight, I should have refused outright, but at the time I thought maybe it would be cathartic. Like, I can celebrate this new life coming and secretly celebrate mine too, you know? The baby shower was planned for May, when Ashley would be 7 months along, and she had very specific ideas about how she wanted everything to be. She wanted a safari theme, expensive decorations, food from a specific caterer that cost like double what the others I'd quoted cost, elaborate games, party favors for guests, the whole works basically. The budget she gave me was like $3,000, and when I told her that was too much, she got all dramatic, saying it was her first baby and she just wanted a special day. And my mom chimed in saying I could afford it because Daniel and I make good money, which is true, but that's not the point. So I ended up agreeing to spend that ridiculous amount because, honestly, I didn't have the energy to fight, and part of me thought if I did this for her, maybe we'd get closer or something. How naive I was. I spent literally weeks organizing every detail of that baby shower. I hired the caterer she wanted, rented a beautiful venue in a garden because Ashley didn't want to do it at anyone's house, bought all the decorations following exactly her Pinterest board that had like 200 images, organized the games, made personalized invitations, put together the favor bags for guests that had artisanal soaps and candles because Ashley said she wanted them to be elegant. Everything. And all this time I was pregnant, with morning sickness that lasted all day, constantly exhausted, but unable to tell anyone why I was so tired, or why sometimes I had to run to the bathroom. The day of the baby shower arrived, and I was exhausted before it even started. I'd arrived 2 hours early to supervise the setup of everything, make sure the decorations were perfect, that the food arrived on time, that everything ran like clockwork. Ashley arrived with her best friend Melissa, who, by the way, is one of those people who always has to be the center of attention and loves drama, and the two of them started taking pictures for Instagram before anyone else arrived. Melissa is one of those friends that, honestly, I never understood why Ashley put up with her. Always making passive-aggressive comments about everyone, constantly gossiping, but Ashley adores her because apparently they've been best friends since middle school or something. Guests started arriving, like 30 people total, mostly Ashley's friends, some cousins, my mom obviously, my aunt, some of Ashley's coworkers. Everything was going well, people were eating, we played the games I'd planned. Ashley was happy, posing for pictures and showing off her belly. Exactly the type of shower she'd wanted. I was running around making sure everything flowed smoothly, refilling drinks, serving cake, basically being the perfect hostess. While I felt like I was going to pass out at any moment because the heat was unbearable, and I, with pregnancy nausea, wasn't having a good time. It was time to open gifts, which was the part Ashley was looking forward to most because, well, presents. I'd organized the chairs in a semicircle around where Ashley would sit so everyone could see, had bought nice trash bags to collect the wrapping paper, had notebook and pen ready to write down who gave what for thank you notes later, everything super organized. Ashley sat in her decorated chair like it was basically a throne, with Melissa sitting right next to her being all dramatic with reactions to each gift, like screaming and clapping exaggeratedly. The first gifts were nice: baby clothes, blankets, a special monitor Ashley had asked for on her registry, and everything was going normally until we got to this big gift that, turns out, was from a girl who'd gone to school with us years ago, and who apparently Ashley had invited last minute. The gift was nice, like a big basket full of baby products, diapers, wipes, those practical things, and Ashley opened it and said thank you and everything normal. But then Melissa, I don't know what went through her head, decided it was the perfect moment to make a comment, and what she said was literally, and I quote, because it's burned into my brain, "Rachel is probably jealous of all this. Lucky for Ashley, she can have babies without problems." The silence that followed was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. All the people there turned to look at me, and I froze with the trash bag in my hand, unable to process what had just happened. My mom was on the other side of the semicircle and I saw her turn pale, and Daniel, who was helping with some of the logistics, immediately came over to where I was. I think I expected someone, especially Ashley, to say something like, "Hey, that's out of line," or "What's wrong with you, Melissa?" But Ashley just laughed, like an uncomfortable little laugh, and said something like, "Oh, Melissa always so direct," and kept opening gifts like nothing happened. But Melissa didn't stop there. No, because apparently she decided she hadn't caused enough damage. She kept talking, saying things like, "It's so sad when people can't have children. You have to be grateful when you're naturally fertile." And then, and this was the worst part, she said something about my miscarriage. Something like, "Plus, after losing one, it must be even harder to see others pregnant. But, well, that's life sometimes." All of this, she said with a little smile, like acting innocent as if she were expressing genuine sympathy. But everyone there knew exactly what she was doing. She was publicly humiliating me on purpose. I felt my face burning, tears wanting to come out, and everyone was looking at me with those faces of pity or discomfort, and Ashley was still sitting there without saying absolutely anything to defend me or tell her friend to shut up. Daniel was the first to react. He went up to Melissa and told her to shut her mouth and that what she was doing was cruel and inappropriate, and Melissa played the victim, saying she was just being honest and that the truth shouldn't offend anyone. My mom finally intervened, saying, maybe we should all calm down. But she didn't say anything directly to Melissa, just tried to smooth over the situation like, girls, let's keep the peace, which basically was validating Melissa's behavior by not condemning it. I stood up and said to Ashley directly, either tell your friend to apologize and leave, or I'm leaving. Ashley looked at me with that annoyed face, not supportive or like a caring sister, but annoyed because I was ruining her moment, and she told me not to be so sensitive, that Melissa, I hadn't said anything that wasn't true, that I had been struggling with fertility and she was just mentioning it. When I say my jaw literally dropped to the floor, I'm not exaggerating. I couldn't believe my own sister was telling me that public humiliation about my reproductive trauma was just mentioning the truth. I told her, you know what, Ashley? Have a nice rest of your baby shower. And I left. Just like that, I walked out of there with Daniel behind me, and the last thing I heard was Ashley yelling that I was being dramatic and that she couldn't believe I was ruining her special day. We got in the car and I finally broke down, cried the whole way home. That kind of ugly crying where you can't even breathe right. And Daniel was driving with one hand and holding my hand with the other, and all he kept saying was, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Even though he had nothing to apologize for, he was just there being the amazing husband he is. When we got home, I was emotionally exhausted, but also furious. Like that fury that makes you shake because it's so intense. Daniel convinced me to take a nap while he took care of some things, and when I woke up like 2 hours later, he showed me his phone. Turns out he'd found Melissa on Facebook and had sent her a pretty direct message saying what she'd done was defamatory and cruel, that we'd considered taking legal action for harassment and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and that he expected an immediate public apology. Melissa apparently got scared shitless because she responded like 30 minutes later with a cowardly apology, saying it wasn't her intention to cause pain and that she was sorry if her words were misinterpreted, that she only wanted to express empathy. Pure garbage, basically. But at least it showed she knew she'd crossed a line. But Ashley didn't apologize. Instead, she sent me a message that night saying I owed her an apology for ruining her baby shower, that on top of that, I still owed half the catering cost, which according to our agreement would be paid on the day of the event, and that she expected me to transfer that money as soon as possible. I responded something like, I'm not going to apologize for having dignity and not allowing your friend to humiliate me, and regarding the catering, you can keep what I already paid and consider it my gift, because I'm not giving another penny for an event where I was treated that way. She left me on read, and then my mom started with the messages. My mom, Patricia, is one of those mothers who wants everyone to get along at any cost, like constantly avoids conflict even when it's necessary. She called me the next day crying, saying she couldn't believe her 2 daughters were fighting, that Ashley was very upset and hurt, that I'd overreacted by leaving the baby shower, that Melissa is just mouthy like that and everyone knows her and you shouldn't take her seriously. Basically, a bunch of excuses and minimization of what happened. I told her mom, your younger daughter publicly humiliated me about the most painful topic of my life, and her friend deliberately attacked me, and neither of them did anything to defend me. In fact, Ashley validated Melissa, and you expect me to apologize? My mom kept going with the speech of, but she's your sister. You have to work this out. It's family, blah, blah, blah. Like 2 weeks went by of constant messages from my mom trying to get me to fix things with Ashley, and Ashley sending me passive-aggressive messages about the catering money and how I was a terrible sister. I just didn't respond because, honestly, I had nothing to say. I'd already made my position clear. Then Ashley raised the stakes. She sent me a long message, saying that when her baby was born, if I didn't fix things with her and apologize properly, she wasn't going to let me meet her daughter, but that she didn't want toxic aunts in her baby's life, that I clearly had issues and resentments I needed to work out in therapy before being around children. When I read that, I laughed. I literally laughed out loud, and Daniel asked me what was wrong. I showed him the message and he laughed too because the irony was too much. I responded to Ashley with a super short message that said, that's fine, Ashley. I accept your terms. I don't need to meet your baby. Take care. And that was it. I blocked her on all social media, blocked her number, basically cut her out of my life completely. My mom found out and called me hysterical, saying how could I do that to my sister, that I was being immature and cruel. And I told her mom, she was the one who set those terms, not me. I just accepted them. And if that bothers you, maybe you should talk to her about why she threatens people with access to her baby like it's a manipulation tool. Ashley had her baby in August, a girl. I saw the pictures on my mom's Facebook because I hadn't blocked my parents yet. And honestly, I felt nothing. Like, good for her that I had a healthy birth and everything, but I didn't feel any connection to that baby or need to be involved. My pregnancy was progressing well. I was 5 months along at that point, and Daniel and I were excited and focused on preparing for our own daughter we were going to have. We still hadn't announced publicly. Only my best friend knew and like 2 other people at work because it was kind of obvious with the belly, but extended family and social media didn't know anything. In October, when I was 7 months along, Ashley sent me a message from her husband's number because I had her blocked, asking me to please watch her baby for free twice a week because they needed help and my mom couldn't because she works, and that I work from home so it would be perfect for me. The audacity of this woman, seriously, after everything that happened, after forbidding me from meeting her baby, she was asking me to be her free babysitter. I didn't even respond. Just blocked that number too. And that was it. My mom called me again, saying it was my niece and I should help family, and I told her very clearly, I don't have a niece. Ashley made it very clear I'm not her aunt, and that she doesn't want me around her daughter. So I don't know what baby you're talking about. My mom and Ashley kept trying to contact me in different ways. Messages from friends' accounts, emails. My mom showing up at my house once that I didn't open the door and pretended I wasn't there, even though she clearly saw my car outside. It was a very stressful period. Eventually, in November, like 2 months before my daughter was born, I blocked my mom too because she wouldn't stop sending me guilt messages like, how can you do this to your family? God wouldn't approve of this division. Your father is very disappointed. My dad, James, by the way, never got directly involved in any of these dramas. He's one of those who avoids conflict and lets my mom handle daughter stuff. He's always been like that. And I couldn't handle the emotional stress of those messages constantly anymore. I had my daughter in January of this year, Olivia, and it was the happiest day of my life. Like, after everything Daniel and I had gone through to get to that moment, we finally had our perfect healthy baby in our arms. We spent like 4 days in the hospital because there were some minor complications, but nothing serious. And when we left, we went straight home to start our new life as a family of 3. We didn't tell anyone from my extended family or Ashley, obviously. It was just our private moment with my best friend and Daniel's parents who came to meet her like a week later. Like a month after Olivia was born, when I was already feeling more settled into motherhood, and those first chaotic weeks had passed, I decided to post a picture of her on my Instagram, like a super cute picture of her tiny little feet with a caption that said something like, "Our blessing finally arrived." I didn't tag anyone, didn't mention anything about the family drama, just shared my happiness because, well, I felt like it, and I felt it was the right time. What I didn't anticipate was the bomb that was going to cause. Apparently, several family members follow my Instagram even though I don't interact much with them, and the news spread like wildfire. My mom sent me like 20 missed calls in an hour that I didn't answer because she was still blocked, but I could see the notifications. Then my dad, James, who I think in this whole situation had contacted me like twice at most, called me. I decided to answer because, well, he was my dad, and even though we weren't super close, we weren't directly fighting like with Ashley and my mom. My dad sounded tired on the phone, like emotionally exhausted, and he said, "Rachel, your mom is devastated. Ashley is furious. You had a baby and didn't tell us?" I said, "Yes, Dad. I had a daughter 5 weeks ago. Her name is Olivia. She's perfectly healthy. And I didn't tell you because honestly, after everything that happened, I didn't feel like you needed to be involved in this chapter of my life." He tried to make me feel guilty saying she was their granddaughter, that they had a right to know, that family is family regardless of problems, basically the same old speech. I explained very calmly. "Dad, when Ashley humiliated me at her baby shower that I organized and paid for, when Melissa publicly attacked me about my miscarriage and my fertility issues and Ashley defended her, when Mom minimized all of that and asked me to apologize, when Ashley forbade me from meeting her daughter and then had the audacity to ask me to babysit for free, you weren't there for me. None of you defended or validated my pain. So why would you think I'd want to share this important and vulnerable moment of my life with people who demonstrated that my emotional well-being isn't a priority for you?" My dad was quiet for a moment and then said I was being very harsh, that families fight but they always, to work it out, that I should think about Olivia and that she deserves to know her grandparents and her cousin. I told him that Olivia is going to grow up surrounded by people who love and respect me, who defend me when I'm being attacked, who validate my emotions instead of asking me to repress them for family peace. And if that means she doesn't know some biological relatives, then so be it. Because I'd rather she grow up with that example of healthy boundaries than exposing her to people who think emotional abuse is acceptable if it comes from family. I hung up after that and blocked my dad too, because I knew he was going to keep trying to contact me to mediate or whatever. Daniel was there during the whole conversation, listening to my side and supporting me, and when I hung up, he just hugged me and told me I'd handled everything perfectly, that he was proud of me for setting firm boundaries, and that Olivia was going to grow up knowing she has parents who protect her and who protect each other. It's been like 4 months since Olivia was born, and I haven't had contact with Ashley, my mom, or my dad since then. I heard through my cousin that my mom is devastated, that Ashley is indignant, saying, "I'm horrible for depriving her of knowing her niece when she let me meet her daughter," which is a blatant lie because she literally forbade me from meeting her, but whatever. Ashley has always had her own version of reality, and that basically that whole side of the family thinks I'm the villain of the story. And honestly, I don't care. Like, literally zero. Because my life now is peaceful and full of people who genuinely love me. Olivia is almost 5 months old now. She's perfect in every way. And every time I see her, I remember why it was worth setting those boundaries. Daniel and I are more united than ever. We have an incredible support system with our true friends and his family who have completely welcomed us, and I'm at peace with my decisions. Does it hurt not to have a relationship with my sister or my parents? Maybe a little bit sometimes. Like, when I think about how it could have been if things were different. But then I remember how I felt that day at the baby shower, completely humiliated and betrayed by the people who are supposed to protect me, and I know I did the right thing. Last week, Olivia smiled at me for the first time. That big, real smile, that's not just gas. And I was there with Daniel taking 1,000 pictures and crying with happiness. And I thought, this is what matters. These moments with the family I chose to keep close. Not the obligation to maintain toxic relationships just because we share DNA. My mom says that someday I'm going to regret it, that I'm going to want Olivia to know her grandmother and her aunt. But I don't think so. Because Olivia is going to grow up knowing she deserves to be treated with respect and dignity, and that it's okay to walk away from people who hurt you, even if those people are family. That's a lesson I learned too late in life, but at least I can make sure my daughter learns it from the beginning, and that, for me, is enough.